My name is BJ Dodge, and I'm directing Mud by Maria Irene Fornes at CalRep. This play I actually saw at Padua Hills in the summer, I think, of 1978, and it was the image of these sort of floating people with floating objects in this sort of surreal landscape that stuck with me for years afterwards. And I enjoyed that play very much. And other of her plays are also very resonant to me, but this one I had had an early experience with, so I like it. So right now, what I would have to say thematically is that the theme comes from the people that I'm working with. I listen to them and hear them say the words and watch their reactions and their responses to the language. And so for us, it's about a woman and about two men who all have aspirations that are trying to fly over really intense obstacles. So for me, I think it's very much about the woman at the center of this who really wants to get out of the mud that she's in. However that happens is sometimes on a moment-by-moment basis. Sometimes it's through an education process. Sometimes it's standing up for yourself. Sometimes it's leaving or thinking about leaving and planning on leaving. So those to me are the themes. The theme has to do with rising up and getting out. So Mud in this respect has to do with where we come from, what shames us, what we enjoy being earthbound. There are a few mud subjects and images. So mud for me has to do with where you stand, you know, and how do you move out and away from mud when it's sucking you down. And I think that we all feel the slog. We all feel the sludge in our lives. We feel that when we feel that we lack resource, that we lack time, that we lack the luxury of being able to make choices, that we only have a couple of choices and they're both pretty rotten choices. That is mud too, you know. But mud is also a natural occurrence in life. Maria Irene Fornes is a playwright who, she's a Cuban American. She came to this country and was a seminal figure in experimental theater. She did a lot of her work in the late 70s and 80s, although she did write well into the 90s. She became famous for this play and for Fefu and Her Friends and for a few other rather beautifully sort of epic dramas of domestic life in this country. But one of the things that I think distinguishes Maria's plays from a lot of others in that experimental cohort of playwrights is that she is very much a champion for women. She is very much a champion for women who do not have resources, who are suffering from a oppressions, who are nevertheless extremely ambitious to change their lives, to transform. So because Maria passed very recently, she suffered from Alzheimer's throughout the last few years of her life. Celebration has been planned all over the country, probably all over the world, to celebrate her life and her work. So this is CalRep's offering in that celebration. Yes, working at CSULB with these CalRep actors and designers has been a real pleasure. I went to undergraduate school here. I taught here after I completed graduate school, so it is nostalgic, a kind of reunion for me, and to see the hardworking students who are designing this show, who are acting in the show, has been a real inspiration to me. These actors are bringing something particular to these roles. They are young, but they have lived lives, and they have a strong identification with the ideas in the play. The designers also have a terrific appetite for diving into the mud of this thing, this story, and living in this world for as long as it takes to realize the process of design. So we're not there yet, and I imagine that we won't be there even after the show closes, right? Because the process is that the more we experience what we do know about the play, the more we understand what are still questions about the play. So I really appreciate all of the designers continuing to have that kind of flexibility, allied with a kind of certainty about their own tastes and their own reaction and responses to the text. So it's been quick. We've done this pretty quickly in about really not even 2 weeks of rehearsals, going into tech at the end of this week. So it's a whirlwind, and it certainly has not been a slog. So I hope that the audience will see that there's a really strong bond and level of trust with these actors and crew. So that's something for which I am immensely grateful. Yeah, this is a feminist work because it still is. It was, and it is, and I think now it is in different ways than it was when it was created, and sadly in new ways, because with the progress that has occurred for women in our world, there is still a tremendous weight on women, on this woman in particular. I think also the wonderful thing about Maria Irene is that she does not, it is a dark play, but the characters don't, they light a light. They're always making sure that they're looking for some positive thing within that darkness and that heaviness. And I think that the actors have really, really lent themselves to understanding the actions that bring us forward into the light. I would like to think that in many ways it's not a downer. It's a challenge. It's a the play makes a demand of us. It doesn't let us feel self-satisfied about what our lives are right now, you know. It demands that we ask questions about, well, about poverty, you know, and injustice, and all of those things that start with, you know, capital letters. But the poor are aspirational and human. So I think that's probably what else I would add. Reading was suspicious because reading is that key to opening the world, the whole world, and, you know, the freedom inside your brain that causes you to have hope and to be able to imagine something besides working, right, and surviving. And I feel like that's what reading is here. It is aspirational, and it's difficult, and it is transformational. It is. So I think that's what Maria meant, is that it is essential to imagining a future.